bit of a technical problem getting on Facebook and YouTube. We started off just by some easy shaking, and if you're comfortable, just tapping heels into the ground, relaxing the shoulders, upper back, feeling that vibration through the body. We'll continue to work on our hip mobility because I know this is working really well for a lot of people. And obviously it works in anything you're doing during the day, any movement, whether you're doing sport, whether you're doing walking, or just a day moving around, walking around, sitting down, just getting those hips nice and strong and mobile. And then we'll do a little bit more work on that upper body push, which is going to be our 10-day challenge starting next Thursday, so the 3rd of June. We will start our 10-day upper body push challenge. And then just slow it down and just find a comfortable standing position. And just feel now any tingling, nice sensation of that blood flowing through the body. Grounding yourself, so really connecting to the ground through the feet, feeling stable. And at the same time lifting and lengthening from the crown. Step your feet out a little bit, so about shoulder width. We'll do spine rotation with that little bit of extra push. So you just rotate and push, shoulders stay down, the opposite heel comes off the ground and you look in the direction that you're going. The things to watch out for here is that you don't overreach. So I'm not reaching and pushing, I'm rotating around the spine so I get that nice stretch through the back of the body, stretch through the fingers, stretch through the arms. So you can really put some energy, some work into that push, but keep it nice and slow. Push. Really feels nice through that upper back. You might get a few creaks or crunches. Let's do one more each side, breathing easy through the nose, and then just come to resting. Shake out if you need to shake the legs out a little bit. So we've done rotation. Let's do some flexion or extension and flexion. So our spinal cord, remember we bend the knees so our pelvis is tucking under. So you're spilling out the back and you're spilling out the front of the pelvis, and you're just coordinating that arm movement with it. So it's like if you're doing yoga, like you're doing your cat-cow. Opening up the chest there, tucking the pelvis under. Nice and smooth. Just allowing the breath with the movement if that's comfortable. So the breath just naturally in. Quiet breath and breath out. So no forcing or pushing or pulling the breath. Remembering here you're really opening up, lifting your heart up to the sky, lifting the sternum up to the sky. letting all that air just naturally flow into the body. Let's do 2 more of this. And then relax there. Shake again if you need to shake out a little bit. And then we'll do our 70s dance routine. I was doing this with a few people in the woods the other morning on Saturday, and people walking by going, that looks a bit odd. But so a little bit of bend in the knees, the hips go, and then let the upper body flow after it. So again, we don't tend to do this a lot. Now, have the feet nice and solid on the ground. So it's a bit like skating. So if you imagine you're doing this and then the upper body light and flowing over it, rather than I'm falling to the side or falling to the side. So really use the ground, use the feet. The legs are nice and strong. And then the upper body just flows. So we're getting that lateral or side to side flexion through the spine. Nice and easy. Shoulders relaxed. And slow it down. Slow it down. And again, just take a moment, just find your comfortable standing position, nice and tall. And we've mobilized the spine, we've oiled the joints in the spine, each of those vertebrae. Feel tall. Step back out. Let's do 3 big arm circles. So palms facing up, over soft elbows. I'm going to pop a video up on Facebook because I was doing some hill repeats the other day and nasal breathing, and I was doing recovery with this, so walking, really slowing the breath. So it's actually really challenging to keep the breath as slow as possible, in and out through the nose. And one of the biggest things that helped is by doing this. So as you're walking and doing this as you recover, because it actually opens up the rib cage just by lifting the arms. And I was like, wow, this makes recovery so much easier. 2 more. And then keep the right hand down, so I'm mirroring you. So the right hand is facing the ground, and just bring the left hand, so keep elbows soft. So we're just going to do that little bit of stretch here through the left side of the rib cage. So you can have a little bit of a lean over. Imagine you've got like a lemon you're just squeezing in your waist there, just a little bit. So you feel that length now through that left side of the body. Elbows are soft, and then little fingers come towards the midline and you just swap sides. So you're connecting down with that left hand and then up with that right hand. You can have just a little bit of a lean over again, just to create that nice length through the side of the rib cage. And then just make this into a nice smooth fluid movement. And if it's comfortable to coordinate the breath, you're breathing in, naturally breathing in through the nose, no pulling, breathing out, and then in, out. Let's do 1 more each side. and then take a rest there. So we've got this rib cage, the spine nice and mobilized. Let's work on our hips. So let's go about shoulder width apart, maybe a little bit wider. And then we'll do hip to the right, circle back. So we're doing our big hip circles, left, come forwards. So we're keeping the legs straight so we get that nice stretch through your hamstrings as well. So as we're coming back, spine is pretty neutral there. Legs are straight, so I can really feel it in my hamstrings there. Big circles. Tilting forwards. Hips forwards. Again, you may get some nice crunches, creaks. Let's do 2 more in this direction. And then we can change direction. So going the other way. So keeping the legs straight but not locked out. So avoid any locking of the knees if you can. And if you do this every morning, you really do notice the difference. 2 more in this direction. And then come up to standing. And then we'll go a little bit of bend in the knees now. So now we're working on that internal, thinking really deep inside the hip bone there in the joints, right into the groin area, the tailbone. So really working the tailbone. So imagine you've got that little weight on the tailbone with a string and you're drawing a circle underneath, a small circle. But you're still getting that tilt of the pelvis, so you're still tucking in underneath. Connected to the ground with the feet. And again, this is a nice one to notice, that really subtle change of weight shift on the feet. So almost like rolling the heels from side to side and then rolling more in the middle of the foot, that bubbling spring point. The toes you can release, relax, you can stretch the toes a little bit if you want to. It's quite nice. And then other direction. And I notice a big difference now when I do this from when the first time I did it, I was like, everything felt stuck. But actually, the more you just do this, the more you can release any blockages, any tightness. A couple more of the mini circles. And then we'll go into a wide stance. Now, as comfortable, as wide as you feel comfortable with. The things to watch out for here is that the knees aren't dropping in. So open up the thighs there and get those knees over the toes. So they're aiming over the ankle and over the toes. So if you're in this position, then just come a little bit narrow. Just go to a comfortable position that is not straining you. And again, we're not in a squat position here. It's like you're riding a horse. So you're almost tucking the pelvis a little bit here. So you're keeping that back nice and long. And that weight is on the tailbone, pulling it down. And then you can do tiny, tiny circles here. And I think this is one of my favorite ones because you can really then feel the hip bones, the glutes, if you've got any tightness in the glutes. And actually you can get the glutes, these big buttock muscles working, activating. And also the feet, because in order to keep the knees in alignment, you're really working on rotation as well. It's tiny, tiny micro rotations through the feet, through the ankles, to keep stable. It's also a really good leg strengthening exercise, as I'm sure you can feel. And now let's go, if you haven't changed directions, let's go in the other direction. And you may feel certain sticking points. And what you can explore if you do feel sticking points is just focus a little bit on the breath then, so you can breathe in and then breathe out any tightness. And then safely walk your feet together, shake your legs. Can feel that really working in the glutes now there. Have a little walk around, just see whether your legs are still connected to your hips, hopefully, before we start swinging them about. And then come back to standing. We'll do our hip swing. So remember on this one, the key on this one is that the support leg is doing the work. So if my left leg is the support leg, let's just balance on that left leg and just rotate the hip. So you're rotating the femur bone in the hip socket. So you're just rotating in, out, in, out. That's all you're doing. So the power is coming from this support leg, and then the free leg is just swinging and dropping. So now I'm supporting on the right leg, swing and drop. Support, drive. So it's all about freeing up that swing leg. And then you get into that nice flowing movement. And again, you might get some cracks, crunches. Let's do one each side. And then rest and shake that out. That should feel different to, there's another exercise you can do where you are doing like stepping over. It's like I'm going to step over that pole or something like that, where you're using more of the leg that you're stepping with to work, and that's great. That's a good exercise as well. But with this, I want to get almost like that free swinging of that free leg. So just really getting the legs nice, hips nice and open, nice and free. And shake out. And let's go into our squat. So start, we don't have to go really low, but we'll just start nice and easy. So we're going to go slightly quicker than we did when we did the slow squat. Take your feet about shoulder width apart. Use the hands, use the tiger. And let's just start down and up, tall at the top. So wherever you're comfortable, you can get to here. That's fine. It's not about forcing. If you can go a little bit deeper, then you can go a little bit deeper. And the breathing is just light. So again, I'm not trying to breathe in any particular way. If you get out of breath, then you just take a little pause. Let's do 2 more. And then push back up to standing. Let the breath settle. And now we'll add the push to that. So there's 3 ways you can do this again. So if you've got a wall, and if we're getting to this point here, then you can just rock forwards into the wall and then push back. So just go to the depth that you're comfortable with in your hips and if in your squat, or if you've got, like we said last week, a very solid, safe, something that's not going to slide like a chair that you're going to fall on. If you've got a platform there, you can come down, get into here, then you're rocking on your feet. So I'm coming up on my toe, on my ball of my foot there, I'm rocking, I'm just leaning into that. So I'm putting my weight through my upper body, and then we're working on that little bit of a push back. And what I want to make sure that we do is we're in control of this. So it's not to get to a point where you have to throw yourself back. So you want to come forwards, push back into your squat, and then bring yourself up to standing. So that could be a work surface. So say if you had a work surface that was this high, you could squat down onto the work surface, or squat down, you've got the work surface in front here, you tilt forward. So all we're doing when we tilt forwards is shifting our center of gravity so the weight comes onto the upper body. Or if you can get right down with the squat, we can go down, balance. Now I'm going onto the ball of my feet, tip forwards. I'll shake it from the side. Now I'm putting the weight on my upper body there. A little bit of bend in the elbows, pushing back. So I'm on my heels into that squat position. And then I'm using the floor to push myself back up. So find whatever is comfortable for you. And let's go with that. So normal squat, start with the fingers, coming down. Then when you get to the point where you can rock onto the bubbling spring onto the ball of the foot, hands onto the ground, both hands just straight there, weight through the front, the wrists, the arms, push back, balance on your heels, and then drive up, push up through the legs. That should be quite challenging because we're doing it nice and slow. Let's go again. Fingers, squatting down. When you're ready, you just rock forwards, weight through the wrists, and then back. Balance on the heels, nice and strong through the legs. Slowly push yourself back up through the legs. And again, slow. rock forwards, rock back, and then push up through the legs. Let's do one more. Slow, fingers, rock forwards, push back, in control, balance, push up through the legs, and then rest there. So that should be quite challenging, but the idea is to get that tilt forward so we're actually loading the upper body, so we're strengthening the upper body. But just to work on an easier version of that, if we do it without the squat, if you've got a wall, all you need to do is stand, lean into the wall, and this is where you can start just by pushing yourself away from the wall. So if that was really challenging, work on this wall push. And you can have your arms out a little bit so the elbows come out, or you can have the elbows in this position so that when you lean forwards or when you reach forwards, the elbows come back. It's a bit difficult because they're in the wall there. But imagine that your elbows are either here or here. But the idea is to keep nice and straight, keep that tallness through the posture, and then you're just leaning forward. So I'm not pushing my heels forwards, I'm not tilting forwards like this. And if you want to make it a little bit more challenging, you just step further away from the wall, and here you could come onto the ball of the feet there. So that's the best way to start getting some nice upper body strength without forcing it, because we know we don't want to push or force or get out of breath. The more you practice that, you start to wake up your upper body, that when you get to this point, this is nice and strong. You're not struggling with that. So remember, we never want to struggle with any of the exercises that we do. They could be challenging, but don't be struggling or losing control of them. Brilliant. We will finish there. Quite a lot of work going on there. A reminder that on Saturday, if you've not already booked, I'm doing an Unlock the Power of Breath workshop. We're going to be doing a little bit more self-massage on that. So that'll be fun to do. And we'll be working on a little bit more on the cadence breathing as well, the resonance breathing. So if you haven't signed up for that, sign up for that. If I don't see you on Saturday, have a great weekend, everybody. And I will see you all next Tuesday, and get ready for next Thursday when we're going to start the push challenge. We're going to start that simply with a wall push. So that's the first point that we're going to work on. Great. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. And I will see you all very, very soon. Take care. Thank you. Oh yeah, we want pictures. We want pictures.